So Russell Wilson just got publicly roasted by a former teammate who spent Thanksgiving at his house, and the internet is not having it. Trevone Boykin went on a podcast and called Wilson's Thanksgiving celebration weird because his extended family wasn't there. The problem? Wilson was the one who invited Boykin to his home in the first place. This whole situation is blown up online with people calling out Boykin for being ungrateful and disrespectful. Let's break down what happened, why fans are furious, and what this says about Boykin. Trevone Boykin appeared on the House of Playmakers podcast recently and decided to share his experience spending Thanksgiving at Russell Wilson's mansion. Boykin played backup quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks back in 2016 when Wilson was the starter, so they have history together. But based on what Boykin said on this podcast, maybe that history should have stayed private. During the episode with his co-host Paul Dawson and Devontae Fields, both former TCU teammates, Boykin started talking about being invited to Wilson's place for Thanksgiving. Right away, he called the whole experience the weirdest feeling. His main complaint was that Wilson's extended family wasn't there. No mom, no sisters, nobody from Wilson's side of the family except his wife Ciara and their kids. The internet response was immediate and brutal. Fans jumped all over Boykin for these comments, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. The consensus was pretty clear. When someone invites you into their home for a holiday dinner, you don't go on a podcast afterward and trash them publicly. People were asking obvious questions right away. One fan said what everyone was thinking. If Boykin was so concerned about being with family on Thanksgiving, why wasn't he with his own family? Why was he at Russell Wilson's house in the first place if it bothered him so much? That's a fair point. Wilson didn't have to invite Boykin at all. The fact that he opened his home to a former teammate should have been appreciated, not used as podcast content. Other fans got more direct with their criticism. One comment that got a lot of attention said Wilson invited him into his home out of the goodness of his heart, and Boykin's response was to trash him afterward? Another person called it clown behavior for clout, suggesting Boykin was just using Wilson's name to get attention on the podcast. Some fans pointed out that Ciara and their kids were there, which is literally Wilson's family. The idea that it's weird for Wilson to spend Thanksgiving with his wife and children just doesn't make sense. That's his immediate family. Whether his mom or sisters were there doesn't change the fact that he was surrounded by family. Plus, nobody knows what Wilson's relationship with his extended family is like, or if they had other plans, or if they were going to see each other another time around the holidays.
Can someone explain to me why there is this obsession with men trying so hard to paint Russell Wilson to be this horrible man when it doesn't give that? For Trevone Boykin to get on a podcast and tell the world that Russell Wilson is weird because he didn't fly out his family for Thanksgiving is very distasteful. This man invited you into his home. And now you're on a podcast talking about you had a weird feeling because his mom wasn't there or Russell's sisters weren't there. Did you speak to Russell about this before you even hopped on this podcast? Do you know about Russell's relationships with his mom, his sisters, or maybe even they had their own plans? Russell celebrated Thanksgiving with the family that he created. So I'm so confused why this was even a problem. This was such a non-issue. This really does go to show you that no matter what you do, somebody will always have something to say. You're talking about Russell not celebrating Thanksgiving with his side of the family, but what are you doing? You're hanging out with friends, house hopping. You're not even with your family. So what are we even talking about?
Maybe he's not close to his family.
And maybe he not, but his mama wasn't there.
So he's saying that his family would talk down on him for not flying them out for Thanksgiving, but your family won't talk down on you for this mugshot after mugshot after mugshot. He was arrested in 2018 for assault with a deadly weapon on his girlfriend. Mind you, he only played 5 NFL games. He was mainly the backup quarterback to Russell Wilson from 2016 to 2018. So you decided to come on here, 7 years later, to talk down on Russell Wilson because your life sucks. He's not in the NFL anymore, obviously. He's trying to play for the LFA in Mexico. So he wants his 15 minutes of fame because his life sucks after assaulting with 5, 6, 7 mugshots.
So are niggas getting lamer, or are we just having more access to their lame ass fucking thoughts? This was some lame ass hoe ass shit. for a number of reasons. The first one being that it's old. Why is you talking about old stuff as a man? As a man, why you bringing up old shit? Number two, clearly it was an intimate setting between his son, his new girl, and his father-in-law, and he thought of you enough to invite you to a setting that only had a handful of people. And you gonna slap that man in the face like that? Like, that was his new family. Lame. Then obviously you was just bored. Like, the only reason you talking smack it was because you was bored. They wasn't playing no spades, you said. They probably run a dry house. Ain't no liquor in that house. So I get it. When you with conservative people and you like to turn up, it can be hard. But it don't mean that it's not a good time and you gotta slander them. You sound like a hater, like a loser.
Look, Trevone, if I invite you to my house for Thanksgiving dinner, I invite you and I'm there. And my spouse is there, and 2 of my kids is there, and a caterer is there, and 2 nannies is there, and it's a big house, and you see everything that's going on. Shut up and eat the cake. Okay? Eat the cake, and I mean, that's all you got to do. Don't come up in there like you come up in there as a spy to see what I got going on up in my house so you can go do an interview and tell people, oh, it was weird. I mean, his family wasn't even there. His sisters wasn't even there. His brothers wasn't even there. His daddy wasn't even there. Her dad was there, but his dad wasn't there. What is you getting at, Trevone? What you getting at? Because I invited you for Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, Trevone, you could have declined. You didn't have to come. But see, the problem was you came up in there with another set of eyes on. That's what you did. You came to spy out the land, boy. That's what you came to do. You came to spy out the land. You had an ulterior motive. And we found out what it was when you did that little interview. Now, you might try to smooth this over and try to act like, oh, it ain't what you think it was. Maybe it was just weird for me. I'm pretty sure it was. Where your folks was. I mean, if you wanted something spectacular going on, why you didn't bring nobody with you? Why you didn't bring your mama? Why you didn't bring your daddy? Why you didn't bring your sister? Why you didn't bring your brother? Why you didn't bring your friends? If you wanted something extravagant going on, why you didn't bring them? And let us look at you from the other side and see if you weird or not.
I swear to God, Russell Wilson just be living rent-free in some of these men's minds. Like, at this point, it's giving you're jealous of Ciara and you want to take her spot. Because I don't understand how it is that somebody invites you over their house for Thanksgiving and then you fix your mouth to go on a podcast and tell those people whole entire business. In what world could I be invited to a Russell and Ciara Thanksgiving and not be excited as fuck? Because, baby, I'm leaving with Ciara's prayer and possibly a husband. They are the black matchmaking couple. They set Normani up with her husband, Coco Jones. Russell's constantly giving Lala advice about men. Like, baby, I would have been leaving with a rock on my finger. Husband on my arm. This is why Jamaicans have that sign in our houses. When you come here, what you see here, what you do here, what you hear here, let it stay here or else don't come back here. Also, how the hell are you throwing shade about his family not being there for Thanksgiving when you're there for Thanksgiving, nigga? Where the fuck is your family? That's the question.
You went to Russell Wilson's house for Thanksgiving. You were invited. Bet you won't be invited again.
So I'm going to hop in man business and football business for 5 seconds. Hands up, don't shoot. But what is y'all's deal with Russell Wilson? Like, I'm genuinely confused and concerned. Like, all I see publicly, I'm not a football girly, so I don't know what's going on with that. But, like, publicly, outside of football, all I see is him, like, loving on Ciara, figuring out how he can get her pregnant for the 5 millionth time, loving his children, loving his bonus child as if he were his own, which is what you should do, showing up to work. I don't watch the game, so I don't know the score, but I know he getting picked up by teams and he show up on the field and get a check. And at one time was, like, the highest paid. Never on, like, podcasts, spilling people's tea, talking about people negatively, has never, like, started unprovoked beef. Loves his wife down and help her friends try to find other godly men and, like, helping them get set up with other, like, amazing men and husbands. What's the problem? I'm getting, like, it's weird. It's getting really weird. What is wrong? Y'all act like he out here doing crimes, slapping people's mama or something.
The niggas will never beat the allegations of being gossipy. That Thomas Boykins, whatever the fuck his name is, that one that went over by Russell Wilson's house and went on a podcast and spilled Russell's tea like he was a girl, gossiping ass bitch. Yeah, y'all will never beat the allegations. Y'all kiki too much. Y'all clocking it too much. Y'all the new girls. Y'all the new girls. Because how many friends have Ciara had invited over their house and you ain't hear name one thing about what's going on over there? But here you go, gossiping bitch.
Yada, yada, yada. Running your goddamn tulips. Piss me off. I meant Trevone. I don't know how I said that shit, but whatever.
So Trevone Boykin said that when he went to Russell Wilson's house, it was nice and weird on Thanksgiving, and Little Future was bad. Well, he was a child, and this was years ago. Why is this even important? Why are you telling us that going to this man's house was weird? Like, what were you gaining from this? Or you thought it was a funny time? Like, you're weird. Why don't you tell how you was in jail for beating up your ex-girlfriend? Why don't you talk about that story versus going bashing someone who let you come into their house? Why weren't you with your family? You stop being a weirdo. The only person weird in this situation, Boykin, is you.
Let me show you how ungrateful niggas is. Trevone Boykin was invited to Thanksgiving dinner by Russell Wilson. That boy said it was weird being there because he didn't fly his family out for Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving, you ain't around your family. Whole time, you ain't around your family. Why you ain't fly yourself out to your family? You ungrateful. Stop giving these unnecessary people a fucking olive branch. Because they gonna break it and talk shit about you. Can't stand these unnecessary worthless ass niggas. Just ungrateful.
Trevone Boykin is the exact reason why I just don't allow just anyone inside my home. People will smile on your face, eat your food, and then run and do a podcast and slap you in the back. You invite someone to your space, your safe space, your family space, and somehow they think that your kindness is an open door for disrespect. Russell Wilson let that man sit at his Thanksgiving table. He turned around and used that access, that hospitality as podcast content. It is mind-boggling to me how someone can take the hands that feeds them and use it like they were starving for attention. This is exactly why boundaries matter. This is why everybody cannot come to your home. Everybody doesn't deserve access. And if someone shows you that they can't handle a meal, a memory, or a moment, you cut them off immediately. Because loyalty isn't a holiday gift, it's a character trait. Protect your home, protect your energy, and stop allowing ungrateful people to sit at tables that they could have never built anyway.
Now, to be fair, Boykin did touch on something real about cultural differences in how families celebrate holidays. Different families have different traditions, and how you grew up celebrating Thanksgiving might be completely different from how someone else does it. That's normal and worth acknowledging. In some families, particularly in Black communities, there's a strong tradition of extended family gatherings where everyone comes together at whoever's house can accommodate the crowd. The person with the resources hosts, and everyone else contributes by cooking dishes and helping with preparation. It's communal, it's loud, it's packed with people, and that's how the holiday is supposed to feel for a lot of folks. If that's how Boykin grew up, and that's what he's used to, then yeah, Wilson's more intimate Thanksgiving dinner probably did feel strange to him. There's nothing wrong with noting that difference or feeling out of place in a different type of celebration. But here's where Boykin went wrong. There's a massive difference between privately recognizing cultural differences and publicly mocking someone on a podcast for how they choose to celebrate with their family. You can feel uncomfortable in a situation without turning that discomfort into entertainment at someone else's expense. Boykin could have said he appreciated the invitation, but that it made him think about how different families have different traditions. He could have used it as a starting point to discuss cultural differences, without making Wilson the punchline. Instead, he chose to call it weird multiple times and question why Wilson's extended family wasn't there, which comes across as judgmental rather than observant. At the end of the day, this story is pretty simple. Russell Wilson showed hospitality to a former teammate by inviting him to his home for Thanksgiving. That teammate, Trevone Boykin, responded by going on a podcast and publicly criticizing how Wilson chose to celebrate the holiday with his wife and kids. Fans called out Boykin for being ungrateful and disrespectful, and they were right to do so. Boykin's comments reveal more about him than they do about Russell Wilson. They show someone who's willing to bite the hand that fed them for a little bit of podcast attention. They show someone who doesn't understand the basic principle that you don't publicly mock people who welcome you into their personal space. And coming from someone with Boykin's troubled past, they show a serious lack of self-awareness. Russell Wilson might be struggling on the football field right now, but at least he knows who his real friends are. And it's a safe bet that Trevone Boykin won't be getting another Thanksgiving invitation anytime soon. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more NFL content. Thanks for watching.